Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. It is Monday, June 13th, and this is our weekly Westchester update with information about issues happening across Westchester County. We're going to be joined in a few minutes by our Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins, who will help cover some of the key topics that we have in front of us. And in a few minutes, we're going to be joined by our Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Emergency Services, Susan Spear, who's going to help spotlight a really outstanding bit of work done by one of our county professionals. We're very proud of, and we'll let Susan tell you more about that in a few seconds. We will cover in a few seconds now the recreational activities that are happening in Westchester County as we try to get back to something closer to normalcy. Ken will give us the weather report on hurricane season, and we'll talk about early voting, which is coming up all across New York State, but for our purposes in Westchester County at the end of this week as we get to Saturday and Sunday. So we'll cover those topics in as quick a time as we can. First of all, let's give you a rundown on what's happening with Westchester County, again, getting back to normal with our parks and our recreational services. We should note that our two beaches, Croton Point Park Beach on the Hudson River and Glen Island Beach, are now open on the weekends, and you're welcome to go and cool yourself off. The weather is getting very summer-like, and both of those two beaches are open. Normal hours, you can go on our website at westchestergov.com to get the key information. We have 4 pools that Westchester County has, and they will all open on Friday, June 24th. And that's not too very long from now, just a week from this coming Friday. Those 4 pools are Saxon Woods Pool in White Plains, accessed on the Mamaroneck Avenue side. We also have Wilson Woods Pool, which is located on the east side of Mount Vernon, right off the Hutchison River Parkway across from Pelham. We have 2 in the city of Yonkers, Tibbetts Brook Park Pool right in the middle, the big Tibbetts Brook Complex Park in the middle of Yonkers. And then in the northern part of Yonkers, right on the Greenberg border, we have Spring Ridge pools. And those are the ones that we opened up a couple of years ago. There's 2 pools there, an activity pool and then also a competition pool. And so those 4 pools will open on Friday, June 24th. And we're very happy to have all 6 of those entities open this year. There are no particular COVID restrictions this year. We will make sure that we sanitize surfaces and to the greater extent try to maintain normal, intelligent social distancing. But we hope that people, because they'll be outdoors in the summertime, that will be in a good place to be able to resume all of that. On Sunday, July 3rd, fireworks will return to Kensico Dam Plaza, and that is welcome. There'll be a big music fest that day and fireworks to follow. We expect to get, quite a lot of folks, hundreds, thousand, whatever we get. The pre-concert entertainment begins at 5 o'clock on that date. Mark your calendars now, Sunday, July 3rd. That's a few weeks away. That is right around the Independence weekend. We have a guest DJ at 5, and it's followed by the FDR Drive Band at 7 p.m. They're a notable group that does cover band music all across different local municipal concerts, and they'll be with us at Kensico Dam Plaza on the 3rd. Spectacular fireworks with the historic Kensico Dam as its backdrop will follow at about 9:15. Admission and parking are free. Make a note of that, free. Carpooling is suggested because it gets very congested and there's insufficient parking for everybody that wants to come in individual cars. Concert goers should bring lawn chairs or blankets for seating, as well as bring your own picnic supper. And the Music Fest is presented by Westchester County Parks and sponsored by the Captain Lawrence Brewing Company and the Westchester Parks Foundation. And we have support from our partners, WHUD 100.7 FM. And of course, everybody knows Kensico Dam Plaza is almost dead center in Westchester County, easily reached from the Bronx River Parkway, just north of I-287, and not far from Route 22, which traverses the whole corridor of Westchester County. If you want more information, dial 914-864, the word PARK, P-A-R-K, on the dial, or you can visit parks.westchestergov.com for all the information of what's happening at Kensico Dam Plaza. Also at Kensico Dam Plaza and on certain dates at Ridge Road Park, we continue our series of summer ethnic festivals. We've already had ethnic festivals for our Polish American community, our Asian American community, and Albanian American community, and there's plenty more ahead. Lots of different ethnic groups. If you go onto that website for westchestergov.com, our parks, you'll see all the different ones that are ahead. We have Hispanic Day ahead. We have African American Day, Italian, Irish, Jewish, Muslim, and others all upcoming. We've had a great start to the Heritage Festival season. We had to cancel them in 2020 because of COVID. We did not conduct them in 21, so they're back, and there's a great pent-up demand. There's food, There's vendors, there's dance and music of each of these different ethnicities, people clustering, seeing friends of long standing together, and really celebrating all the different ethnicities that are part of the mosaic of Westchester County. So that is coming up as well over the course of these next few months. So we have the pools, we have the beaches, we have fireworks at Kensico Dam, and we have our ethnic festivals. Let me also mention that we have an extension now planned for our Bicycle Sunday program. Bicycle Sundays operate from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the Bronx River Parkway. We close it at the White Plains exit, the Main Street exit, and it goes all the way down to what is Scarsdale Road, portion of Yonkers, fairly close to downtown Tuckahoe. And south of that, from that point forward to the northern portion of it, the parkway is closed during that period of time of 4 hours. And you can bicycle up and down the 13-mile route, back up and back, and it's great fun, great family fun. Those dates will continue on Sundays through the month of June, and it'll take a break for 4th of July weekend. We don't do it during holiday weekends, and then we'll continue through consecutive weeks in July to follow. We take a break for the month of August, and then we come back after Labor Day, the weekend after Labor Day, and we continue through September and October. And Bicycle Sundays is great exercise. Once again, Westchester Parks Foundation and various organizations are helpful to us in sponsoring them. But along with our 6 public golf courses, they've been open since March. You know, golfers would tee off on New Year's Day if they could. And we've had a tremendous number of rounds of golf, and we have our nature trails. We just announced last week, you saw the completion of the South County Trailway renovation. The North County Trailway has been renovated. Last year we completed the connection on the Bronx River pathway, so there's long walking paths throughout different parts of the county. We try to make our parks available, and that doesn't even touch upon a couple of parks we have that's set aside for mountain biking. We have 6 nature preserves across the county, lots of different things to do. And as we get into the summertime season, being outdoors is terrific. When you're outdoors, the fear of COVID is much, much less, and you can have a good time at any one of our 55 parks in addition to these special events that I'm talking about. But we're very happy that our county parks, Recreation and Conservation Department is so active. I want to thank Commissioner Kathy O'Connor, First Deputy Commissioner Peter Tartaglia, and the team for the things they're doing. I'd like to turn to another branch of county government, ask those individuals to please come up here so they can be on camera, our Department of Emergency Services. We're going to spotlight Emergency Communications Specialist Matt Hollis. Please come up just right here so we can have a presentation. This past Thursday, June 2nd, a nervous husband in Tuckahoe, I was one of those once to be a father, dialed 911 to report that his wife was about to have a baby at home. And Emergency Communications Specialist Matt Hollis answered this call and began to give pre-arrival instructions to him on how to assist his wife with imminent childbirth. That is an unbelievable set of circumstances. I want our Deputy Commissioner, Susan Spear, to take the narrative the rest of the way, and then for the special recognition that we have from Matt Hollis. Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Emergency Services, Susan Spear. There we go.
Thank you so much, County Executive Latimer, Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins. We want to thank you so much for highlighting the good work of our emergency services, 60 control dispatchers. They are truly our first responders. And they do important emergency response work every single day, every minute of every day. And today we just want to highlight a really good news story and honor Matt Hollis, who is here today because this is actually his 3rd baby delivery assist. He has now talked 3 nervous families, through baby deliveries, and we now have new, happy, healthy residents of Westchester County. So I'm here today with Matt Hollis and his captain, John Munson, from 60 Control, and we just want to give a big round of applause and hats off to Matt Hollis.
Captain, do you want to say a few words, then we'll have Matt speak? Or you prefer not to speak?
It's all right. Matt's just part of a team of our dispatch staff that are all certified in emergency medical dispatch, which allows them to give pre-arrival instructions for numerous medical emergencies, including childbirth. And Matt, as well as the rest of the members of the team, always carry out their duties with professionalism and enthusiasm, and we're very proud of everything they do. So thank you.
Thank you, Captain. And Matt, we'd love for you to come and tell us a little bit about your experiences. I will tell you, I don't know if I could talk somebody through how to screw a light bulb, and you've managed to get people through childbirth. So congratulations, and please share with us whatever thoughts you'd like to have.
You hear about this stuff on the news, 911 dispatchers having these great calls. Never did I think I'd be here. After 2 hard years of dispatching and dealing with COVID and a lot of cardiac arrests, this was definitely a blessing, and it's an honor to be here. And really, I'd like to recognize the staff that I work with, because without them, we're really nothing. And it's a team job, like the captain said, and I'm proud to be part of it.
We're proud of you.
As befits true heroes, they're very soft-spoken and very modest. And what you've done is really unbelievably exceptional. I think any of us who could just imagine what it would be like to be in a situation where you knew that either you or, in this case, your spouse was going to give birth to a child, and how you could possibly deal with it, and you're not in a hospital, you don't have medical professionals, and that you could give the kind of direction. It's really impressive. It's really impressive, and I think it speaks well for Matt. It speaks well for your leadership, Captain, and Susan in the department. And we're a very grateful county. We know that we've got tremendous professionals in all parts of this county government, the health department, our environmental facilities, in parks and recreation. But here in emergency services, things are on the line in that moment, this or any number of other things. So we do have a proclamation to present to you. I'm going to save both you and the audience the reading of it, but it says some really good things about you, man. We're very impressed. I think we're just going to step over and take a picture. Commissioner, would you come over here and stand next to Matt as well? Why don't you come inside? Thanks. Just tilt it down a bit.
All right, everybody on me? Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more. Okay.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. That is Matt Hollis, who has helped deliver 3 babies with distraught fathers over the phone, helping them guide their wives through childbirth. Matt, tremendous accomplishment. And I think it's important, I just said it a second, I think it's important to recognize the quality and the talent of the people that we have in county government in a variety of different positions and circumstances. I know from being in the corporate life before I was in public office, people will talk about public employees as if they're all kind of just putting in their time, trying to do the minimum necessary. And if you've ever run into an unhelpful public employee, you tend to take that experience and generalize it. But what Matt has done in this case is more indicative of the commitment to professionalism that individuals have. We have that in our police department, we have that in our corrections, in our probation department, in all elements of the county, and we want to make sure we spotlighted that so that Matt and his leadership, and the captain and the deputy commissioner would be appreciated, and that you'd be aware of it. And we wish for the new mother and the prior mothers that Matt helped a very successful parenting experience because of how it started. So I'm going to ask Ken Jenkins to join me now as we go forward. Next up, we're going to go to the weather report. And the weather report lets us know that we're in hurricane season. So, and this isn't just, we do it every year, but it's a serious concern, and depending on what happens and how it happens to us, our emergency services, both at the county and other levels, really have to respond. So I'm going to ask Ken Jenkins to walk us through some provisions now that we are in hurricane season. Ken?
Thank you, George. And it's really impressive to hear the way that Matt and the captain explained it. It said it was pre-arrival instructions. You and I both would have a different interpretation of that. Hair on fire starts to come into the mind when you think about that. But consistent with that kind of thinking is it's in hurricane season, and it's really to be prepared for the scenarios that happen. Unfortunately, we've seen in the past here in Westchester County in September of last year that we saw that we have lost individuals specifically in those very, very rapid waters that happen in those flooding situations. So we want to make sure that everyone takes the time now, prior to it really being a scenario that everyone's trying to get to the store and fill up their cars with gas and try to do all the things that are possible, to take this time to get themselves ready, as all the folks in emergency services would tell us that we always need to do. So hurricane season has officially arrived here, and we're going to talk about the emergency plans, and really that's really the preparedness of all the individuals to make sure they have the supplies that are necessary and come up with a plan just in case things happen, because if you do not plan for it, you know that you will find that situation. Our emergency responders in the county recommend every resident set aside several days' worth of non-perishable food, water, and medicine, and keep other critical supplies on hand, like flashlights and batteries, in case they are stuck in their homes without power. Residents should also have a go bag ready in the unlikely event, but in case they have to, evacuate their premises on a short notice, especially during an emergency like a hurricane. So create an emergency preparedness kit that has at least a gallon of water per person per day, a 3-day supply of canned, packaged, or other shelf-stable, ready-to-eat food. Foods that could be stored and ready to eat canned, like include canned meats and fish, protein and fruit bars, some dry cereal and granola, peanut butter, so having your PB&J, nuts, crackers, and canned fruit or juice available. Make sure you have a manual can opener. The worst thing to have happen is have no electricity and have cans of food that you can't open. So make sure you have a manual can opener and eating utensils. You wouldn't think about that, but certainly the kind of things that happen in emergencies, that has to happen. Flashlights and batteries. So it's a good time right now, just like we talk about changing the batteries on your fire protection, on your emergency services things. You should take that time right now, take a look at that flashlight, because I know every one of us has that flashlight in the top drawer in their bedroom that, guess what? It's probably not working, because the last time you checked it was a couple of months ago, maybe even years ago. Have those flashlights and batteries ready. Have a first aid kit ready. And that doesn't mean you have to have every bandage and size, et cetera, but you should have a first aid kit available to you to be able to do, and a battery-powered or a hand crank radio. I know that some folks now look and say, a hand crank radio. You know what? If you lose power and you have no way of hearing the things that are going on, you need to have a battery-powered or at least a battery-powered radio, but you can also have a hand crank radio. If you lose power, make sure that you call Con Ed or New York State NYSEG Electric and Gas directly. And matter of fact, take the time right now, I may be scrolling on the bottom of the screen, to sign up for their various programs that they text people, let them know what's going on, and that you can go back and forth with your utilities company. So take the advantage of the things that came out of conversations that the county executive led here in Westchester County with all of our municipal partners. That was one of the suggestions to make sure that happened, but not just your power companies, Con Ed and NYSEG, are our two primary power companies, but also for your utility companies like your Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile and Sprint. So make sure you do all those things. We have a bunch of tips that are available for you and these other topics at the emergency services, one big word, emergencyservices.westchestergov.com. And that site is going to be scrolling across the screen, but make sure to take advantage of this opportunity to make sure that you're prepared in the unlikely event that we have hurricanes. We're in hurricane season, but you never know what can happen, and it's best to be prepared. Thanks a lot, George.
Thank you very much, Ken Jenkins. We want to highlight a couple of things as we close out our report today. And the next thing is something that begins on the weekend, and that is early voting in the primaries that are scheduled for primary day on Tuesday, June 28th. For the last few years, we've had early voting that starts about 10 days early. And that is no change different when we have primaries as we do when we have general elections. So I want to walk you through some of the basic provisions. The countywide offices that will be on the Tuesday, June 28th ballot are the same offices that are on the ballot beginning this Saturday when we begin early voting procedures. There will be primaries for the position of governor in both the Democratic Party and in the Republican Party, and a countywide, statewide primary for lieutenant governor in the Democratic Party. There are also primaries for 2 state assembly seats at various areas of the county, and then some of the local offices and party positions. We want to highlight, first of all, the candidates that are on the ballot. These are names that you're no doubt getting material about, some of the names you know. On the Democratic ballot, there were 3 names listed: Thomas Swazi, Kathy Hochul, and Jemani Williams. Those are the 3 individuals who are competing for the Democratic nomination for governor in the state of New York, and of course, therefore, all across Westchester County. There are 4 individuals who are competing for the Republican nomination for governor: Rob Astorino, Andrew Giuliani, Harry Wilson, and Lee Zeldin. And then for the lieutenant governor position in the Democratic Party, there's Anna Maria Archila, Diana Rayner, and Antonio Delgado, 3 candidates running for lieutenant governor. These names will be on the ballot at every early voting location when you come to vote. If you are a registered Democrat, you identify yourself as such. If you're a registered Republican, you identify yourself, and you will be given the appropriate ballot for your political party to make your selections. If you reside in one of the other jurisdictions for which there's a local primary, that will be apparent as you give your information. So the ballot will come out and will show if you live in an assembly district where there's an assembly primary, if you live in the village of Mamaroneck where there are local election primaries, if you live in one of the communities that has a competition for positions of party leadership, those names will be on the ballot. That's customized for you, and that is true at any of our early voting locations. Absentee ballot information has already been established. Today, June 13th, is the last day for the Board of Elections to receive an application, a letter, a fax, an email, or absentee online portal request for the primary ballot. Today is the last day to receive that. Now, you can use a fax, you can use an email. The portal will all be immediate time. There may be time for you to get to the Board of Elections in person, but we're already in the afternoon hours and the Board of Election closes at 5 o'clock. So you need to use one of those situations if you have not yet done that for the primary election ballot. June 27th is the last day for an applicant or an agent to apply in person for an absentee ballot. So you still have 2 more weeks to go, which is up to the day before the election, but you have to come in person to the County Board of Elections location, which is at 25 Quaropus Street here in downtown White Plains, just about a block from the county office building. June 28th, the day of the primary, Tuesday, June 28th, is the last day to postmark the primary election absentee ballot by mail, which means you would have to have it delivered to a post office, so it's postmarked and stamped if you cannot get to one of the election locations in the county. Now, there will be a limited number of early voting sites, and we'll go over those dates in a second, but on primary day, local election precincts have been established across the county in your backyard jurisdiction. So if you don't vote by early voting, and if you don't vote by absentee ballot, you will have the opportunity on primary day itself to go in person and vote in these races. And then, of course, there's the deadline date for absentee ballots is tied to the date of the primary. If we are 1 day past the primary and you have not already submitted your absentee ballot, it will not count in this election. But as we're speaking today, there's 2 weeks and a day between today and when the primary election is. So this is for those who are watching, those who may see this on tape, this is the time to act if you intend to vote by absentee ballot, or if you want to know how you can vote early, or if you want to double check and find out what your local precinct is, where you'll be able to vote. Early voting begins this Saturday, June 18th, and it goes through Sunday, June 26th. Every day between Saturday the 18th, this coming Saturday, and Sunday, June 26th, which is a week from Sunday. There is no early voting on the Monday, the 27th, before primary day. So you either vote during the period of time of early voting, or there's a day off, and then there's primary day when the polls open at 6 and close at 9. There's different hours for each of the different days that early voting is allowed for. There's a graphic, hopefully it's up on the screen as I'm speaking. Saturday and Sunday, the 18th and the 19th, this coming Saturday and Sunday, the polls for early voting open at 10 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. Then on Monday, the 20th of June, a week from today, it's 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. On Tuesday, June 21st, it goes later. It starts at noon, a little later in the day, and it goes until 8 p.m. at night. Wednesday, we go back to the same Monday schedule, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Thursday, 12 noon to 8 p.m. Friday, June 24th, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then on Saturday and Sunday, June 25th and 26th, we close out with 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. So the Saturdays and Sundays are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays starts at noon, goes to 8 p.m. So you have time to vote at night. You have time to vote during the day. You can vote in the in the relatively early morning on 3 days a week at any one of the location centers. Now that's the early voting hours. Let's look at the places that you can vote. I'm not going to read every one by name, but it's a long list. And each of these locations can accommodate anybody who lives anywhere in Westchester County. As a matter of principle, I've done this the last couple of years. I live in the city of Rye, and if I were to vote on primary day, I would vote at my local polling booth, which is at the Rye Recreation Center. However, for early voting, I have voted early at the Mamaroneck Town Center one year. I voted in Pound Ridge Town Hall one year. I voted in Mount Vernon at City Hall one year. So you can vote anywhere amongst these lists of locations. I assume they're up on the screen as we're talking. I will mention you'll see centers in Eastchester, Dobbs Ferry, in Greenburgh, in Harrison, in Mamaroneck, Mount Kisco, Valhalla, Ossining, Pound Ridge, Rybrook, I know I sound like a Metro-North conductor, Somers, Yorktown Heights, Mount Vernon in 2 locations, New Rochelle in 2 locations, Peekskill in 2 locations, at our County Board of Elections here in White Plains, and then 3 locations in the city of Yonkers. So there's many different varied places to vote. Now, you may live in Community A, you may work in Community B, or you may work in a community that you pass through one of these early voting areas, and if the timing is right, if it's 6 o'clock at night and you're going through the community, you can stop and vote that way. This makes it far more easy than it has ever been before. Try to make it convenient for you. If you know there's a potential that, depending on what you do professionally, that you might not be available on primary day for whatever reason, you might be called out of town for some reason, then you can vote early without having to get an absentee ballot, and your vote counts. And all of this are ways for you to give you the opportunity to have your voice heard. When the primary is over, then the winners of those primaries will be on the November ballot, and after we go through a few other things, there's some judicial positions that have to be put into place, then the fall election campaign will be engaged and will go forward. There will be another primary date in August. This is very confusing. It's been a very confusing year. On Tuesday, August 23rd, there will be another primary, and that will be available for those races for Congress, of which we potentially have 2 congressional primaries. And also on that date, we'll be voting for state senate, which there may be 1 state senate primary in Westchester County. There may be more. We'll have to see what gets certified by the Board of Elections. But for right now, this is important. This is the governorship in both major parties, lieutenant governorship in the Democratic Party, Democratic nominations for assembly in a couple of locations, all at hand for early voting. These are some of the reforms that were passed back in 2019, and it put New York on the map. We were one of the last states to embrace early voting, but it's now there. And we hope it gives you an opportunity to have your voice counted. And of course, between now and then, you can follow all of the different issues that relate to elections and the different candidates and draw your own judgment, and we'll take it from there. If you have any questions, you're welcome to call the Board of Elections, and they will be able to handle those questions directly. We provide this information merely as a public service in a non-political way. We hope that everybody who's eligible to vote will vote. We're going to close off with just a quick update on where we are with the COVID infections. Now, by talking about COVID last in this report, we're basically making a statement that COVID is still very important to us. It's still something that we want to report to you on, but we don't see it as the octopus that strangles every other area of public policy. We have vaccinated in this county at a much higher rate than all of our neighboring counties and most other counties in New York State. We have seen some diminution in the infection. We know that the infection is never going to completely disappear. And until and unless it explodes again, as it has in a couple of other surges, we're going to try to be as practical-minded as we can. We have 2 clinics, one in White Plains, one in Yonkers, where vaccinations are available at various times of the week. Testing is now available in a number of different sources. You can get at-home testing much easier now than you could back 6 months ago at the holiday season. And your medical doctor's office, at a hospital, at a pharmacy, you can get both vaccinated and tested in those locations. As of the most recent information we have, which is as of yesterday, Sunday, June 12th, we have 3,284 active cases of coronavirus in Westchester County. That number is basically flat from where we were a week ago when we were at 3,300 cases. And if you go back to a month ago, on May 12th, we had 4,805 cases. So we've had some diminution between where we were a month ago and roughly flat over the last week. Now, these numbers oscillate. They go up and they go down within a certain parameter. And as we're into the warmer months, more people are outdoors, we would expect to see some diminution in the amount of infections. Our infection rates have dropped. At one point, we were very high in infection rates, and then it dropped down, and then it's gone up with each of these different surges and variants. The most recent numbers range somewhere in the 6% range, meaning that of every 100 people tested, 6 test positive, 94 test negative. But if you test positive, it's the same protocol that we have to go through before. You need to isolate yourself for at least 5 days, determine if you are symptomatic or asymptomatic, continue your isolation if you're symptomatic at the end of 5 days, and if not, in consultation with your doctor, you may return to more normal function if you are asymptomatic at the end of 5 days. But there's still that responsibility. Mask wearing is always expected when you have COVID, when you know you have COVID. We have eliminated all mandatory presence of masks except on our Beeline bus system, which we have responsibility for. And there are still state mandates that require you to wear a mask when you're inside a nursing home, a hospital, other types of institutional settings. But the mask requirements are not broad-based, they're not societal at this point, and we hope that the numbers will continue to improve over the course of the summer, and we'll see exactly where we stand as we get to the end of the year. So that is a relatively quick report of what's happening in Westchester County. Just want to check to see if we have any press inquiries. We do have a question. Catherine Chaffee, our Director of Communications, will join us for the question.
Sure.
Catherine.
So Jonathan Gordon from News 12 asks, what is your opinion of the Reproductive Health Care Facilities Access Act that the Board of Legislators is considering with a public hearing tonight?
Well, I think what the Board of Legislators is dealing is a clinic access bill, and they're going to hear public testimony on it. I'd rather not inject my point of view at this stage of the game. I think it's better for the public to be heard. The bill comes out of an experience that happened in the not too distant future in White Plains, where individuals from out of state came to one of the clinics, and women were there to seek services, and they physically interdicted those individuals and stopped them, prevented them from getting access to those services. That was an act that has subsequently gone on for some prosecution. And I think the Board of Legislators rightfully believes that there should be laws that protect individuals to be able to access those services without being interdicted. There is a First Amendment right that individuals have, and there is no reason to restrict their proper rights to be able to petition or to assemble. It's a judgment matter. How far does your right to express your free speech and to assemble intercept and impact people who have a right to receive a certain amount of services? So I think the board's bill is looking at that, and we'll follow their work. And at some point in time, in whatever fashion it passes, it'll come to my desk, and we'll make our decision and determine what to do from there. But I think it's important that for today's purposes, the most important opinion is your opinion. And if you want to be heard, I would encourage you to call the Board of Legislators, 995-2800, find out how you can participate in their public hearing tonight. Or you can go on the Board of Legislators website. There's a separate website for the Board of Legislators. You can access it through westchestergov.com, the general county website, or you can go directly, Google up theirs, go into it, and they'll give you direction. And we look forward to the dialogue that comes out of tonight. If there are no other questions, we'll thank you very much for watching and participating. We'll let you know the date for next week's update. Monday, June 20th, which is a week from today, will be our first Juneteenth holiday, established by the federal government, established by action in New York State and here locally. And we may well have our update on Tuesday the 21st, but we'll let you know that, and we go forward. And I might highlight that next weekend there'll be a series of Juneteenth celebrations and commemorations all across Westchester County. Juneteenth is a recognition of the date that goes back to 1865, I believe it is when the final announcement in Texas, as it was the last of the Confederate states, that slavery had been abolished. And that became a source of great jubilation at that point in time, and now that's remembered as the sort of complete end of slavery in the country. There will be Juneteenth parades. Our good friend Ken Jenkins is going to be the Grand Marshal of the Peekskill parade that's going to happen over the weekend, and we encourage you to look at different locations around the county. We know there's going to be events in a lot of major communities, and we encourage you to participate in that. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thanks for watching, and have a safe week. We look forward to speaking with you soon.